Representative LaMarca, thanks so much for being with us for another episode of Policy Gone Viral during this time of social distancing. We appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to chat with us.
Glad to be here.
So first off, how are you doing? How are the folks in your district kind of managing everything going on right now?
You know, I'm doing fine. I've kind of poured myself into. I was hoping to come back from legislative session, get on the campaign trail, get back to work, and take care of the clients and customers that rely on me. Unfortunately, we're all dealing with this, so it's understandable. And you know, we've basically kind of gone to all hands on deck with regard to constituent services, answering questions. I've joked a bit that my district office has turned into a call center with issues of economic issues, health issues, things that are important for our community right now. And the best thing we can do is be a resource for our constituents and friends and neighbors and try to get some answers and help out with state resources.
Yeah, and I know with the completion of legislative session, it's kind of normally there should be a bit of downtime for you, or like you said, you know, kind of turning your focus more to the campaign trail. You've been engaged specifically with kind of the challenges presented with the cruise ports in your area. Kind of tell us what's playing out. What not only do your constituents should they be aware of, but just other residents of South Florida?
Well, as you said, you know, we're coming off a legislative session. I'd love to be talking about student athletes. Yeah. That bill passed, and I was waiting on the governor to sign that. But obviously, we're moved on to other things. And to your point, Logan, our ports have been something that, and if you followed my 8 years at the county and the first 2 years at the state legislature, our Port Everglades has been a major economic engine and concern for me. And so back on, I believe it was February 23rd, when we were just even hearing early parts of what's going on with the coronavirus over in Asia and moving into Europe, I had set a couple of phone calls up with the Florida Ports Council. Doug Wheeler and Mike Rubin were fantastic. Also, the Florida Harbor Pilots Association with Laura DeBella, and got most of the port directors or the large ports, at least on the phone, try to find out what's going on with the supply chain, what's going on with trucking and trains and all that and fuel. I mean, Tampa and Fort Lauderdale or Port Everglades have basically all the fuel for the state of Florida. The southern part, and so those things are important to me, and I wanted to make sure I had a handle on what was going on economically. This wasn't even an understanding that we would be in the middle of a health crisis, but just understanding, you know, the model of operation, what ports do, and what they provide for our economy. So whether again it's rail, trucking, the supply chain, we're seeing that all in action. Whether it's going down to the Publix or Target or wherever and trying to find supplies or ordering from Amazon, and it's just not there. So the supply chain is working fine, and our ports are doing a great job, but there's such a draw on resources that I think ultimately, we're figuring out what that looks like from an inventory standpoint.
Yeah, Florida's tourism industry is a massive economic driver, and with cruise traffic playing a major role. So we hope that this is over sooner rather than later, but what are your thoughts on how we can begin the process of recovering when this pandemic passes and we're trying to get back to business?
Yeah, so hospitality, tourism, that whole industry is at the center part of my district. I mean, literally the cruise port, and then the rest of travel and tourism. I represent a beach from Deerfield Beach down to Port Everglades and Fort Lauderdale, and everywhere in between relies on restaurants, bars, hotels, being on the beach, all these things that we cannot do right now. The one thing I would say, after having talked to our CVB director, Stacy Ritter, is, if we think that our industries, whatever they might be, are down, think about the hospitality industry, 10% occupancy for the most part is probably the average these days, if that high. People have been furloughed or laid off. There's massive economic concerns for how long this is going to go. The best thing I can say is, I have always been and I will always be a supporter of Visit Florida. I know I have my fiscal cap on, and I know that the right dollars invested the right way. I think we're going to see why that's important coming out of this and advertising, not just the U.S., but Florida as we get out of this. And then the other thing I would say is our food and beverage Industries, FRLA, and those folks. They've got to be on top of this when we come out of this. And one thing I would include is being at home, stay-at-home orders and things like that. And I'm happen to be in the office. We're trying to patronize as many of our local restaurants that have takeout and delivery service or curbside, because at the end of the day, that's all some of these folks have is a few hours of business. And we're all in this together. We've got to make sure we look out for our local businesses.
Absolutely. I live in a really rural area, and that's kind of all we have. So we're trying to support them as much as we can. For your constituents and folks watching who may have additional questions or needs, where are you directing them, and where can we direct them?
The best thing I've seen for getting folks directly to our office. We're in and out of the office quite a bit, but social media at Chip LaMarca. Twitter, Facebook, or going onto the website and myfloridahouse.gov and clicking on my page and sending me a note. All of the updates I've done by social media, I've included a sign up link to be able to get on our email list to keep people up to date. A lot of our emails, we've really been pushing out a lot of information, whether it's the executive orders, health updates, DEO issues, small business administration issues, things like that. We just want to make sure people are informed. I think that's the best thing we can do at this time.
Absolutely. Well, Representative LaMarca, thanks so much for, again, taking a few minutes to chat with us. We appreciate your leadership and all that you're doing in your district, and stay safe and stay healthy and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Logan. And remember, it's never good to have pineapple on pizza. It's never good.
Never, never. Full circle right here.
Take care.
Thanks again.
Uh-huh.
Bye.